Congress has once again delayed on appropriations funding with hopes to announce an agreement by Friday. The move has Montana ranchers uncertain about provisions within the ag appropriations bills. MTN's Ryan Gamboa takes a closer look at the impact it has on the Packers and Stockyards Act.
Farmers and ranchers are always looking to earn top dollar for their product, and new riders in the ag appropriations bills to the Packers and Stockyards Act strikes questions in Washington. In 1921, President Warren G. Harding passed the Packers and Stockyards Act.
It regulates the administration of packers and our auction markets in areas like how producers have to be paid.
Through the Packers and Stockyards Act, Congress identified several purposes for the legislation, including assuring fair competition and trade practices, safeguarding farmers and ranchers, and protecting consumers, and protecting all sectors of the meat industry from deceptive and monopolistic practices.
At that time, the Packers had total control of the markets, vertically integrated. They controlled the feedlots. They owned the grocery stores. They owned the railroads. They owned the packing plants. They owned the freezers.
But fast forward to the 21st century, and the four major packers are Cargill, Tyson Foods, JBS, and National Beef Packing. President of the Montana Stock Growers Association, John Grandy, says that there's a common misnomer that the packers control over 80% of beef trade in the country.
The four major packers control 80% of the fed beef trade, which does not include our market cows, our bulls, a lot of the dairy beef.
The Packers and Stockyards Act was put into the limelight at the end of February as Congress continues to finalize a federal budget. A rider was placed in the agriculture appropriation bill defined as a non-germane or irrelevant amendment to a permanent funding law. Democratic Senator John Tester sent a letter to Senate colleagues in opposition, stating the riders would weaken the Packers and Stockyards Act. MSGA doesn't look at it that way.
We just believe that our producers should have the ability to market cattle the way they want to. And if they want to go to a packer and come up with an agreement on how they market cattle, that should be their choice to do so without a bunch of new rules making packers and stockyards just more government overreach.
Grandy wanted to make it clear that MSGA is not opposed to the legislation. But the founding fathers of the Montana Farmers Union were instrumental in drafting Packers and Stockyards over 100 years ago. Walt Schweitzer, president of Montana Farmers Union, says that these riders reduce accountability.
Softening the oversight of the big four corporate monopolies really still holds us hostage to them.
Schweitzer compares the updates to Packers and Stockyards to NFL football helmet-to-helmet contact penalties.
Is that we've updated some of the rules of the Packers Stockyard so that we can protect the players on the field, the consumers, the producers, against these anti-competitive practices.
If we need substantive changes to Packers and Stockyards, ideally the way to do that would be to do it congressionally, the way the system's meant to work.
Earlier this week, Congress passed a stopgap measure to further delay a Friday deadline to March 8th. Then, with Congress's delay on appropriations, this only further pushes back the Farm Bill. And many ag policy groups report that the Farm Bill is already partially drafted, and this could be the first $1 trillion farm bill in U.S. history. Reporting in Great Falls, Ryan Gamboa, MTN News.
To gain a better understanding of what marketing cattle to a packer looks like, we turn to John Grandy, president of the Montana Stock Growers Association. He's a cattleman outside of his daily policy work. Grandy says a majority of Montana's cow-calf producers don't market to packers. In his operation, the incentives offered by the packers work for him. Grandy says most cow-calf producers sell to a feeder or an operation that'll take cows to grass. It's a step removed as the feeding operation will market to the packers following sale from the rancher.
In my case, I can very directly see that the way we market cattle to packers, we get incentives for producing better cattle. Most producers in Montana are a step removed from that because it's the feeder they sell to is getting those direct incentives and premiums. But it's absolutely proven that that works back through the channels. When cattle that are more valuable for a feeder to sell to a packer, they're more valuable for that feeder to pay more money to the cow-calf producer for them.
Grandy added, not all incentives work back through the chain, while a portion of them do. Premiums, discounts, and incentives can change weekly for certified prime or beef cattle. MSGA wants to reiterate its support for packers and stockyards enforcement. It does not encourage infringing the farmer's right to choose how they market product.